It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and this Best Of podcast goes way back, almost 2 years ago, to when I started doing my podcast, and that is with the new editor for the Newton paper, Chris Braunschweig, and this is when he was a reporter for the Newton paper, and I guess he's still a reporter for the paper, but he's recently been promoted to editor of the Newton News, and it's well-deserved. Boy, I'll tell you what, I was looking at a copy of the Newton News today, and almost every article written in the paper is from Chris, and he does a great job for the paper. He's always fair and balanced in his reporting, and besides which, when his boss reported at Newton Rotary that he had been promoted to editor, I told her that it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And I've always respected his reporting. And again, this goes way back, and I didn't know a lot about the history of Chris. And since that time, we've kind of become good colleagues and friends. And so I think you're going to find this podcast, which is a best of, with Chris Braunschweig, very interesting. He's well liked around the community. I know that he has a passion for Newton, and he and his wife have a new house in Arbor Estates, and he also is a president of the board for the Salvation Army in Newton. So he's planted some roots there. I know that he and his kids like to go for walks around Arbor Estates and also around Agnes Patterson Park and whatnot. So he seems to enjoy living in Newton, and I know that he's looking for a reporter to fill his shoes there at the Newton paper. So if you are listening to this and you're an aspiring reporter and want to move to Newton, why, get a hold of Chris. Newton's a great community to live in and plant some roots in. I've lived in Newton much of my life, and it's a great community to raise a family in. So get a hold of Chris and the other folks at the Newton paper and talk to him about living here and working for the newspaper. All right, let's talk about our sponsors that we have for the Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast. And one of the big sponsors is the Newton Clinic, and they want you to know that preventative care means more than just a yearly checkup. It's how we catch small issues before they become big problems. From screenings to vaccines to wellness visits, Newton Clinic is here to keep you and your family feeling your best. Schedule your preventative care appointment today. Your future self will thank you for it. Preventative care is very important. Again, catch those small issues before they become big problems from Newton Clinic. You can find out all about them on Facebook. Newton Clinic. Preventative care is so darn important. Another big sponsor for us is Wesley Life Park Center. You can pursue your joy at Park Center by offering living options across a continuum. Park Center provides rich, vital, enriching environments for everyone. A community for healthy living focused on holistic health and well-being. Their programming enhances emotional, intellectual, and spiritual wellness and enables you to live a life that's healthier in every way. Park Center is at home in Newton with many residents and team members having lived their lives. Now, if you'd like to learn more about Park Center's different levels of living and to find out a lifestyle that's right for you, contact Lisa Zylstra at 641-791-5000. Again, that number, 641-791-5000. Another fine sponsor of the Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast is Advantage Credit Union.
Graduation. The perfect time for pomp and circumstance to march you away from the place that's holding you back. Advantage Credit Union has a better curriculum of options and great rates with local service. Our checking accounts offer no minimum balances and no monthly service fees. So if your current place isn't making the grade, enter the transfer portal and switch to Advantage Credit Union. Open your account with just a $25 deposit in downtown Newton or online at acuiowa.org.
Member NCUA.
My conversation today is with Chris Braunschweig, who is a reporter for the Newton News. I've wanted to talk to you for quite a while because you and I both in the media.
Yep.
And I had a passion to be in radio back in the day, got into it and in it for 49 years now. And you obviously have a passion for journalism and newspaper. Where did that come from, Chris?
Honestly, I wish I had the cool story of where it happened in high school, happened in middle school, or even when I was a little kid. It actually happened when I was in college. I was I've always liked writing, but I was a big fan of movies. So I went into college. I went to Briarcliff University,
And where is that located?
That's up in Sioux City.
Okay,
so
sure.
not too far. A lot of people recognize Morningside College is also there.
Yes.
But I went to Briarcliff. It's a private Catholic school, and went there because I saw they had a video production course and saw this thing called mass communications. I thought, that sounds kind of cool. So my freshman year, went through all the intro courses, thought, okay, this is really great. And then I met a person who would eventually be my boss for the Sioux City Journal. His name is Bruce Miller. He's a adjunct professor at Briarcliff University, and he taught news writing. And as soon as I met him, I changed my whole idea of like, I'm not going to write screenplays for movies or things like that. I want to be a journalist. I want to be, because he was a movie critic at the time. And for me, that sounded really cool because I was always just big into movies and sharing my opinion of those movies. And then it just kind of evolved from there. I finished Briarcliff University and got my first job at the Sioux City Journal. Had an internship there first, and then they offered me a job of between, do you want to be the cops reporter or do you want to be the Weekender editor? And the Weekender editor basically writes feature stories. And I thought, that sounds way more fun. And it was. For 4 years I was there and basically got to really hone my skills as a community journalist by speaking with local bands, theaters, doing stories on artists.
How fun.
And it was so cool. Bar owners, restaurant owners, culture, all these really fun stories. And I got to really know the community of Sioux City that way. And it's a huge community. So that's kind of where it was a late start to my passion for journalism. And it's only grown since I've come here in Newton, which was back in July 2018 at this point.
Tell me about some of the more interesting stories that you've done.
In Newton or
either way, either in Newton or up in Sioux City. Both, because I'm sure they're fascinating.
They are, and it's so hard to like think back on my old stories because after you do a story, you're just constantly moving on. You don't really get a time to appreciate what you've done a little bit. But some of my favorite stories I remember doing in Sioux City, this sounds horrible to say this, but a music bar had closed. It was called the Chesterfield. It was known for hosting all this live music and really helped cultivate and promote the local music scene there. And just out of the blue, it closed. And it closed mysteriously. And
nobody really knew why?
Nobody knew why. It's just all of a sudden, it just closed in the middle of the night. Apparently, the cops came and told everybody to leave in the middle of a really popular karaoke night. And it wasn't like people weren't going to the bar. There was always people there. Mm. And then a little while later, I had a really good relationship with the bar owner. His name's Mick. And he finally kind of came out of the woodworks and just needed a break. And he told me everything. And I felt really cool being able to just get the scoop on that and finally tell that story of why it did close. And essentially it was just burnout. But he did it he in a regretful way, but he didn't tell anybody. And it was really interesting to take a feature story or something that everybody had known in the Sioux City community, in the music community, and have a more serious story in the Weekender. And I thought that was always really cool. Any kind of feature story where I got to look at food or hang out with like MMA fighters was always really awesome. We had this battle of the bands back at the Sioux City Hard Rock. And I wrote reviews for that. And it was so fun. It was probably my one of my favorite things I've ever done in journalism was just write reviews of local bands.
And you had done reviews on movies too before that.
I was doing a little bit of that in college, just to kind of just try it out. We were encouraged to write, and I was like, well, I might as well do it. So, but I think I really got to, really try critiquing and express my opinion through these really long form reviews. I was at at those shows and constantly writing notes, and people were really resonating with those, and they loved reading those. And I thought that was really cool. They would just go to the show, and then people were excited to read my book long reviews of the show.
Sure.
Some people weren't too happy, and which resulted in a death threat. So,
oh no!
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
You got a death threat out of a review?
I got a death threat out of a review.
Okay, how did that play out?
Well, I will say it was a bad rapper, and his bad rapper friends did not like my review of his show, which was terrible. It was poorly thought out. It was, everyone gets maybe 30 to 40 minutes to play, and I don't think he was on stage for maybe 15. He was late. He didn't show up for all this other stuff, and it was just so unprepared and it was not good. And there's way better hip hop acts in Sioux City. So to see that up on the stage, I mean, I couldn't take it seriously. So I kind of let him have it a little bit. I tried to be respectful. I wasn't just like saying, "Oh, you're trash," and I really explained my points. But then it resulted in some nasty Facebook messages from folks. Yeah, which is it was not great, but we roll with it. Nothing happened. I'm still here.
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, I would say. Golly, geez. Okay, what about stories in Newton in particular?
Stories in Newton. Oh man, I mean, truthfully, I love just being able to go to a city council meeting, a school board meeting, a supervisor's meeting, and watch it unfold and watch a really interesting story develop like right in front of me. I'm kind of a public meetings nerd. That might be horrible to say, but
no, not for a local newspaper.
But I truly do love public meetings and seeing that interaction between citizens and elected officials. I love that interaction because sometimes it can be just entertaining from that perspective, but also something really engaging. You can find something that is. You can find real problems, and there's not one side that's right, or it gets even more complicated the more I research into it. Like, there was a zoning dispute over in Mingo that was argued about at a supervisor's meeting, and it just got heated, and there was lots of back and forth. Lawyers got involved. I mean, it was a mess. Mm-hmm. But I really did like writing those types of stories, and it's kind of a cop out to say any public meeting story, but really any public meeting story is great. And again, it's 6 years I've been here now, trying to think back to what some of the more interesting stories is so hard because I'm already working on what's next and trying to think about what stories to do for next.
Were
next
you
issue.
At the city council meetings when the gentleman was protesting about some things and got handcuffed?
I was. In fact, I was. I'm not sure if it was the first time he was arrested or the second time.
And what was that about anyway? Refresh my memory.
It was about a gentleman, a 19-year-old at the time, who got arrested during a traffic stop, and that went viral too.
Right. And the police department thought he was high or he was on drugs.
They thought he was drunk, and then they thought he was high. So it got kind of complicated from there, and they're presently in litigation. And Noah Peterson came to the city council meeting and complained about this very incident. Mm-hmm. And apparently officials didn't like that, so he was arrested. So yeah, and in fact, when he got arrested that first time, I had my phone out and I got the recording of him being arrested by their police chief, and I posted that to Twitter. And I'm still getting notifications from that. I mean, that ended up getting like about 1 million impressions on Twitter, and that alone went viral. And now he has a litigation, with the city as well. So yeah, I was there. I mean, that was not something I thought I would see at a city council meeting. I've seen people, be told to leave or sit down or be escorted back to their seat or something like that. But this was totally different.
It shocked the heck out of you.
It was. I didn't think that would happen here in little old Newton, but it definitely brought a lot of attention, probably unwanted attention to the city, I'm sure. But that's I got to put that news out there. That's my job.
Well, sure.
So,
Now, when you came to Newton and a lot of these things happened,
yeah.
did it kind of surprise you a little bit that all this stuff was going on?
Yes.
Being, from Sioux City, thinking, oh, Newton, Iowa, they'll probably be quiet and sleepy. And
I was kind of hoping it would be a little quieter, I thought I was like, this is going to be my little retirement area. I can just kind of chill here, a nice community. I'm sure there'll be some things here and there, but if anything, I think Newton's probably even more interesting than Sioux City. And Sioux City still has its interesting things going on as well. But yeah, I was not expecting that out of little Newton, but here we are. And
so how long have you been with Newton News, Chris?
I've been with Newton News since 2018. I got here in July 2018. So I had shorter hair back then, and I dressed in khakis and shirt and tie.
You were more conservative.
I was very much so.
Now you got long hair.
I got long hair. I got the hat on, jeans. I'm living a little bit more comfortably, where I can just, kind of match the town a little bit.
So, what do you think? When I came, Newton is my hometown. I graduated back yonder in 1977, and born and raised here. And of course, Maytag was going strong at that time. When I came back to Newton, Maytag had closed about a year or two earlier, and people were down in the dumps and kind of feeling, what are we going to do now? There's no Maytag in town. But my feeling is, and I tell people this, I try to put a positive spin on it because I've been told that Newton has the highest population that it's ever had here in town. And that's by Craig Armstrong, who would be the person that would know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you feel the same way, and I'm kind of asking you to opine on this.
Sure.
But Newton's kind of in a renaissance period.
I felt Newton was certainly heading that direction more before COVID came. I think Newton was on a really nice trajectory, and then kind of COVID came in and put a lot of that to a halt. I think there's still a lot to be said about Newton's renaissance. There is a lot going on, so I'm not trying to dampen any of that. There also just seems to be a lot of things leaving in its place too, and we see that with the downtown, and the downtown's also filling as well. So it's always an ebb and flow. It feels at least that's what I've kind of seen.
Right.
But Newton is certainly getting to a point where it's making more headlines in more positive ways, like the NASCAR race.
Sure,
that was huge, and now that it's coming back, that's way better for the city. And so I'd agree, but also I'm tapering my agreement a little bit.
Sure. Well, I know TPI is supposed to be coming back at some point.
That's true. Yeah.
And when it does, I'm not sure. I don't know what they're going through or what's happening with that, and I could probably do a podcast on that whole thing at one time too. And they're supposed to be at some point building some softball fields or baseball fields out by.
Yeah, Project Fast Pitch. Yeah.
Yes, out there. So I think we're all really hopeful that this kind of thing will happen for Newton.
Very much so. And I think to me, one of the biggest problems with Newton is sometimes Newton gets in the way of itself a little bit.
How do you mean that?
I mean that by people got really burned by Maytag leaving, and very much so. I think there's some, you can almost call it trauma, like a community trauma. And so people are maybe a little less trusting, a little more testy. And, so when new things are announced, they expect results quickly. And maybe that's not how things work. And, other things like COVID get in the way. And some other folks just don't want to see Newton to change. They want it to go back to some other era that they loved about Newton. And Newton was like this, and it was so much better. And you can't do that. Newton can't really we can't go back in time.
Right.
But we can try to grow from what we have. And I just think that when Maytag left, it really hurt people.
Yeah.
And I still think we're feeling that to this day, because there's still a lot of people that have negative feelings towards anything that's coming in to change, because even though they want change, but they're still fearful of it.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of doubt in their minds because of getting burned by Maytag. And, their motto was the dependability people, and people in Newton had come to depend on Maytag.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, Maytag put a lot of people through college.
It did.
My sister, Chris, had a full ride Maytag scholarship to the University of Iowa.
Wow.
And they did that for a lot of people every year. And they were very generous with the town. And we have Maytag Park, Fred Maytag, built Hotel Maytag. I mean, there's lots of stories behind that. And I did a podcast with Larry Hurto. But then when it left, people kind of were feeling, I guess the word would be jaded a little bit.
Certainly, yeah. And I think that's still around.
Yeah.
People still have kind of bear that grudge a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long that's going to take to heal or what it's going to take for them to change their minds. But there are obviously projects in the works that will maybe help people see differently. I mean, we see Legacy Plaza changing all the time. We have great things already happening in the Legacy Plaza. I'm a big fan of Hazelig and Murph and Mary's, and seeing that grow is exciting. We love that. We love spending time in the courtyard and spending time in the downtown.
They're going to have the boutique hotel too in there.
Yep, and the apartments. I mean,
now, do you know when the splash pad is supposed to be finished? By any chance? I see them working on it.
I don't remember. I should know because I just wrote a story about it.
Okay.
But, I would assume within the next year, but I know that they're probably going to be doing some parts of that in phases.
I see.
So whether it will be 100% finished by next year, I don't know.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I'm sure. We would all love that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, the kids would. I know that.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait to take my little 2-year-old there.
There you go. Yeah. So the newspaper business it's kind of like the radio business in a way. It's a little bit, I don't know how to put it any other way, except I would say scary to a
it's volatile.
certain extent.
Yeah.
And boy, I tell you, my mom, I don't know if I ever told you this, was editor of the Missouri Valley Times. Missouri Valley is over in western Iowa, by Council Bluffs, during World War II, because that normally was a man's job, but they were all off to war. So they got my mom to be the editor. And Chris, I was raised as a news junkie. So my mom would read the Des Moines Register and Tribune and the Newton Daily News every day, all 3 papers. And if it came to be 10 o'clock at night, this is before the days of remote control, she'd say, Jamie, get up and get Channel 8. I haven't seen any news all day, after she'd read 3 newspapers.
Oh, my goodness.
So I was raised that way. And she loved it. On the weekends, she'd get the Chicago Tribune.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so I kind of inherited that. But I morphed over more to radio than I did newspapers.
Yeah.
I don't think I could write. That's why I'm afraid to write news stories. I'm afraid I get sued. So, I mean, did they teach you how to avoid lawsuits and things like that in journalism class when you went to Briar Cliff? Because I'm wondering about that. I mean, you could say something. I've had people come up to me when Randy Van would write the news for me at KCOB, and I read it at Rotary, and they've said, oh, that's not right. Well, then I do the cop-out and say, I don't write it. I just read it.
Okay. Well, yes. I remember in Briarcliff, we took a law and ethics class, which was by far the hardest class any of us students had to take. I mean, our professor, Michael Crowley, he was adamant that we knew so much, and at least instilled in us, is like, even if we forget the details, we at least have a gut feeling that tells us what's right and what's wrong.
It's like an intuition kind of thing?
Yes. Yeah. So that's, I think, what that class is for, is to just kind of build that into you. And I feel like I've definitely got that. And there's always going to be people that disagree with my reporting. I'll always uphold my reporting unless there's something that, I really did mess up on. And I will say that doesn't happen often. But a lot of times the people that disagree with you just don't like to hear the news, or don't like to hear what's being said. Or
they don't like to hear negative things.
Yeah, exactly.
I know people that won't watch the TV news. See, I'm 180 degrees around from that. I'm watching news all day. But I know people that won't watch it because it depresses them, and they just don't want to hear it.
And that's fair. I mean, there's definitely news organizations out there, especially TV, where they do focus a little bit more on heavier stuff, and it can get draining. Gosh, I mean, everyone remembers when the pandemic was going along. That's all that was being reported on. And I mean, to a certain degree, they should be doing that. But it can wear on you a bit. And especially now with social media, I mean, people are just constantly getting news and information to themselves. And it's borderline. You have to develop healthy habits when it comes to consuming of any kind of news, whether it's radio, whether it's newspaper, whether it's social media, TV. You have to limit yourself, because otherwise you will just kind of get sucked into that, and it doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't make people feel good when they're constantly being bombarded with bad news.
Right. But you occasionally, as a reporter, get to do good news stories, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, tell us about one that might stick out in your mind. And I know you've done a lot of them. Over the years.
Anything that, just because it's coming up again, the Fall Festival over at Arboretum, the Newton Arboretum in Botanical Gardens. They had their debut Fall Fest last year, their inaugural Fall Fest, and had this scarecrow contest. And they're doing that again this year, and I love that. I love anything that's sort of outside the realm of public meetings, outside the realm of politics and crime, and something that I can really showcase, like, here's something that's really positive going on in the community that you can take part in and enjoy and love. And people did. And so that's something that always sticks out to me. Another kind of positive story was, there was this gentleman in Baxter, a younger guy, younger than me, and he's legally deaf, and he went through all these hardships, and just out of the blue decided, I'm gonna go climb mountains in Colorado.
Wow!
And go on the Colorado Trail, just by himself.
Wow, that is quite a story.
Yeah, I mean, he eventually ended up meeting some people, and going by yourself on a journey like that's pretty tough. But he eventually did stumble upon some people and make some friends, so he got to go along with that. But it's that kind of story was really cool, and it resonated with me, because he never thought something like that would happen.
He never saw the handicap keeping him from what he wanted to do. Right.
And he had the full support of his family. I mean, they went so far as to make dehydrated meals for him. And it's just so cool to see a family like that just come together for someone else in their family, so that they can realize a dream and do something. Because I mean, he quit his job to do this.
Oh wow!
I mean, he just wanted to do something completely different, and he did it. And some people, when they look for that kind of journey, they need a break from the monotony. And I think he was working as an engineer or something, and he just needed. He's like, I need to get away. Right. And this was certainly one way to get away.
Yeah,
all the way to Colorado.
I would say. I know what you mean, because I always liked reporting from the Jasper County Fair.
Oh, yes.
There's a lot of good news stories there.
All of those stories are wonderful. Yeah.
And the kids, and then the adults who are their advisors. And of course, there's a lot of little festivals going on. We have Newton Fest, but also Baxter Fun Days and Monroe Settlers in the county.
Yeah, I love covering that.
Yeah, I mean, those are the fun things that you get to do as a reporter. So that's fantastic.
Those are great. I love community events where I can do that. I mean, we just had one when RV TV was in town, and it was really cool going to the pep rally and just seeing how many people were there, and just the level of excitement that people had. That was great. That was cool. And it's a nice reprieve from just, some of the stuff that can get a little draining for me. As much as I love covering public meetings and even politics to an extent, that weighs on me too. Because that's another way I'm consuming my news, is just right there on the front lines, essentially.
Okay. Couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up.
Please, yeah.
Well, a question and then a comment about you.
Oh, no.
No, it's good. What do you like best about living in Newton in Jasper County?
What I love best about Newton is, as someone so I spent the first 4 years of my life in Newton.
You did?
3 or 4 years of my life, yeah.
Oh, so you came back home?
Essentially, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My mom and I lived in a house, maybe southeast of the fire station. She knows the exact address still. I don't know it. I was too little. But I remember Newton. I remember coming to Newton. I remember coming to Jasper County because my mom lived in Prairie City, and she went to, back when it was Prairie City High School, not
Sure.
PCM. So I already had a familiarity with Jasper County. And I grew up, I guess my hometown would technically be Altoona. I went to the Southeast Polk school system, and nothing's wrong really with Altoona. It's just, it's grown so much and it's changed so much from when I left in 2010 and came back in 2018, 4 years in college, 4 years working for the Sioux City Journal. It looks so different to me. And I think my wife and I both agree that it felt different, and we wanted something smaller but still big enough to where we can live comfortably and have all of those amenities that we enjoy. And I think that's what we like about Newton. It's that nice middle ground between small town and reasonably sized metro. It blends perfectly. And I mean, and we do love Jasper County. We love going to Monroe and Prairie City, stopping in at, Goldie's or Jersey Freeze to get some ice cream, and going to Colfax. The downtown is always really fun. Those shops are cool. And it's just an exciting place. There's lots of little hidden gems in Jasper County that we really like. So I think the feel of it, just being that middle ground space, is what we really love about Newton, and just the sense of community. I mean, you see the cardinals everywhere. And so does my daughter. One of her words she actually knows is cardinal, and she will point it out and scream it at the top of her lungs anytime she sees a cardinal. We walk by the water tower, drive by the water tower, cardinal, like, yes, that's the cardinal. And that's really cool to see. It's just everyone kind of, I want to see more of it. I want to see us really like band together and really make Newton as great as it can be, because it has so much potential. And that's something that my wife and I see too. And that's why we, and that goes for the greater Jasper County too. There's just so much potential, and we want to be here for that.
Chris, you're almost echoing what the director of the Newton Chamber of Commerce said.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's kind of in the middle ground. It's a bit of the big city and the small town at the same time. So that's really great. A couple things I want to mention about Chris. Chris is a big-hearted guy, very much so. I know that when I go to events, by and large, for the Salvation Army, Chris is there. I have been an auctioneer for their quilt auction, and in fact, I think it's coming up again next month.
It is in November,
and they've asked me to do it again, and I hope to see you there.
We'll be there. We'll be there.
You weren't there, however, at the appreciation meeting when I got a pie in the face.
That's right.
But that was fun, let me tell you. I was hoping you'd be there for that. But
I was horribly sick at that time.
Oh, okay, sure, I get that. But I think it was leaving the quilt. It was either leaving the quilt auction, or you had come to a Rotary meeting, and maybe it was when those guys flew around the world to help prevent polio. I have lower back problems, and at that time I was really in bad pain. I still have some pain every now and then. I take meds for it. But you were kind enough. You saw me hobbling around trying to get to my car. You grabbed my car.
Oh, that's right.
And brought it to me so I wouldn't have to walk over to it.
Yes.
So thank you very much for that.
Anytime.
And when I was inducted into the Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you did a big story, and the headline said "Hometown Radio Star." And my head swelled up a little bit. But the best thing about that is my sister is in Park Center, and she has Parkinson's disease. Oh. And unfortunately, she's in hospice now, but she's got that on her wall. Oh, and gosh. She looks up at it every day. And I wore a shirt that's kind of like the one I'm wearing today, where I have that I was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I wore it last week, and she just says, "I'm so proud of you," Oh. And then she points to the article. Oh, gosh. And that's because you were so kind and did those things. And see, I don't realize as a radio guy the impact that I have on people unless they tell me about it. And I have heard about things like that. And I hope you know that you have the same impact, Chris.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate that. And that is so sweet. And really that to me is worth more than any kind of newspaper award ever. Anybody who takes a newspaper that they got and puts it in a frame, hangs it on their wall, whether it's their business or their home, or they just have it for their scrapbook. That means the world to me.
Sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is
Exactly.
so sweet. So yeah, thank you very much to you and your sister.
Thank you. Thanks for talking with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Jamie.
Other sponsors include Westside Java Coffee Bar, Red Pride Cafe, along with Jersey Freeze in Monroe, Lynette Baker Halo Branded Solution, Jersey Freeze in Monroe, and the Made Right Sandwich Shop. Until next time, grrr out is out. See ya!